That's a good question. I'll introduce you first.
Okay.
Good evening, and good evening. Hey, Alexandria, thank you so much for joining. So, I am Banke, the author, new wife, new professor, and new entrepreneur. And this is the Thank You Tour. So, as you guys know, we are nearing the 1 year. Thank you so much for inviting followers, Allie. I appreciate it. We are nearing the 1 year anniversary of the release of my debut novel, Always Want More. And in that year, we have sold nearly 1,000 copies, something that only 3% of all authors will do. I am incredibly blessed. So I have done a series called the Thank You Tour, where I thank all the people who have had an instrumental part in this journey. If you go to my YouTube channel, which is also Banke the author, you can view those interviews. I'm telling you, it's very powerful, inspiring stuff. So today, I am with who I call my little big sister. Her name is Kanika. We're both in Rochester. She has been an instrumental part of my growth and development even before there wasn't Always Want More. And so without further ado, I will flip the camera so you all can meet Kanika.
Hi.
All right, so I hashtag this sisterhood. And so my first question for you is, what are your thoughts on that topic?
Wow. So sisterhood actually can take on different forms. So, obviously biologically, if you have sisters, there's a natural bond between sisters, siblings, which no matter what happens, that's always going to be there, right? So for me, I've got two sisters and I'm in the middle.
Crazy middle child.
Right, crazy middle child. So the dynamics there are, can run the gamut from we love each other to we fight all the time to I haven't spoken to you in a long time to I can't wait to see you, we need to plan a trip kind of thing. But then there's also the sisterhood in sororities, which is what Banke is talking about, Little Big Sis. So, from that perspective, in terms of growth and establishing a bond with other women who are like-minded, and who are searching or looking for ways to better themselves, to network with one another, and establishing a strong bond that way, to me, that is also sisterhood. So it's not necessarily biological, but through common goals, common themes, common life stories, you can establish that sort of bond that isn't biological, but could be just as strong as the biological.
Absolutely. And why don't you go ahead and tell the people what's the first and the finest sorority?
Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Y'all was waiting for that. Thank you for keeping the hearts coming. So, I'm just very interested from as I document.
Do I look like I'm slouching?
You look like you are relaxing.
Oh,
it's very
good.
coquettish.
Okay,
like the
good.
ass is poked up very nicely. I'm just interested in hearing your perspective on what you've done as far as this journey, because I'll just ask you the question. So when you think about Always Want More, what role have you had in that?
Wow. So Always Want More. I was there at the very beginning. I'm talking like the paper to the pen to the paper, the thought, the ideas, the stories, the journey that Banke as the author took just in her career, and to see her take her experiences, her love for her city, I would say, both of us being in Rochester, we had this love-hate relationship for Rochester.
Right.
So for me, it was a hate, love relationship. But, just seeing her evolution and the evolution of the book, people think, oh, let me just sit down and write a book and that's it, right? You took your heart and your soul and you poured it out and you got feedback, constructive feedback, feedback that you at some points didn't agree with, which I admired you taking that and saying, you know what? I respect this person who's giving me the feedback. I'm going to take what I think this person's giving me to make my book a success, and use that, as opposed to saying either I'm not going to move forward because so and so didn't like my book, or you know what I mean. So just seeing your growth through the journey, and then it actually coming to fruition, like, not,
it's crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy, just like not stopping at any obstacle that came your way. You set a vision, you had this goal, and I remember you telling me, I'm going to write a book, and I mean, you did. Like, that's awesome. A lot of people say they want to write a book,
right?
But you being able to take your experiences, and they're real experiences, right? The interactions that you had with people, the characters have real personalities, right? Their exposure to the world, their exposure to Rochester, what people are reading when they read your book is the reality through Banke's eyes, right? And so, I was there at the beginning of the, ideas, concepts, and now to see the book, awesome.
I want to flip it. Okay, so not only was she there for the idea part, so she read that's rough.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that first one, I was like, I couldn't put it down. I remember emailing you like, supposed to be at work.
Right.
I'm reading a book.
Right. Read it as a Word document on the computer.
Right.
And so I just want to, like she said, constructive criticism. One of the things that helped me, and I think this is why I have a leg up in the competition, sorry, I'm not sorry, is that I had so many dope women who like really know what they're talking about, who know literature, who know life. So when I tell you, because Kanika is like my sister, and she's very similar to my sister Anna, who you guys saw, like they do not hold any punches. Your shit better be right. So when she said, "Oh my God," she's a ball of energy. I can't stop reading. I was like, okay. And so there were so many obstacles, so hundreds of rejections, but knowing the women that I was writing for and who I know, I kept pushing forward. You said something else that I wanted to touch on. Oh, as far as the experiences, Kanika was also a huge part in those experiences, because there are some parallels between Tracy and myself. There's always some kind of truth to fiction. And the fact of, her coming back home and feeling out of place, and then the social scene that was going on, because me and Kanika was on the scene together.
Wait, what was the what was it? So I make up names and
so chic.
I would go to the club and make up, not like make up names like my name is Tiffany. I would just make up so chic, like
personas, alter egos.
Exactly. What? Okay.
So when you say you used to have a hate love relationship with Rochester, where are you at with it now?
So and it's not just with Rochester, it's with life in general, to accept and love where you are, because, tomorrow's not promised. So to be in a city and consistently wish you were somewhere else, like, that's just not, that's not healthy. And so I just decided to, love where I am and take advantage and experience the city and what the city has to offer, right? So there are great things about Rochester, but you do have to look. It's not like a city where things are just jumping out at you, but so making that fun, right? As opposed to always looking at the downside of things, looking at how, the positives. So
what helped you get to that point? Because I know it's like you said, it's not just specific to Rochester. That's just a testimony of having peace.
Yeah. I mean, I think, first of all, spiritually knowing that this is where I'm supposed to be, like, and just accepting that, having had a job offer, the whole story, I'm not going to go into that, but having a job in the DC, Maryland area, and then coming back to Rochester, and just how everything was so
ordered.
Exactly. So realizing that there's a reason why I'm supposed to be in Rochester, and just accepting that. And I think once you accept that, then you're more at peace with it. It's not to say that I'm like, yeah, because Rochester is where I want to spend the rest of my life. It's not that. It's just my life now, I'm in Rochester, so I'm going to make the best of it.
That's right. Thank you, Alex, so much for the hearts. And what exactly do you mean when you say different, honey? I just need you to elaborate a little bit on that.
You talking to me or?
I know, one of our viewers. She's like, you went schizo on me?
Like, wait.
I know you was a little crazy, but
right.
Lord. So I want to talk about you more specifically. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned your job. Can you just tell us what field you're in?
So I have an engineering bachelor's and a master's in strategic leadership. So I work in a company that makes medical imaging equipment. My current job is continuous improvement manager. So I basically help people, processes, and systems to go from their current flawed, inefficient, costly state to a more efficient, costly state, basically fixing the problems.
Okay, so in your career journey, how many promotions would you say you've gotten?
Okay, so I consider a promotion, because I'm one of those people like nerdy who likes to learn, and so I consider a learning opportunity also a promotion, even if it's a lateral move. So I would say about 5 or 6 in the span of 14 years. Yeah, so every 2 to 3 years I would move to a different position.
How have you been able to do that? What is your advice on that?
My advice is funny. I just was on a panel yesterday talking about this
nice.
At RIT. So my advice is that you have to be true to who you are and establish yourself early in 2 respects. One, in terms of your competency and your knowledge base. So if you're a teacher, be the best teacher from a competency standpoint. If you're an engineer, be the best engineer. But also from just like the human side of it, and what your passions are, and who you are, and what is important to you, your morals, your ethics, and stand true to that. So for me, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I follow through on things. I do my best, and you have to be consistent with that. So if you start out that way, out the gate, then you're setting your own track record, and it doesn't have to be set for you. It's when you go into a situation, you think you know everything, and you're kind of like, well, I have a job, I don't need to, they'll get it when I get to it. But you committed to it, on a Monday, and it's Friday, you haven't done it. Communicate that, because people will respect you for, even
addressing
if you couldn't, addressing. If you couldn't meet a deadline, just own up to it. So I think, being good at whatever your profession is, and I'm not saying you have to be the best, but you should want to strive to be the best.
Be your best.
Be your best, right. And then just, understanding who you are and what's important to you, your morals, your ethics. I mean, for me, people know at my job, don't come to me with something that's unethical or something that, you would question, should we be doing this? Because I'm not going to agree with it. I don't, I don't go along with that kind of stuff. So
that's a great reputation to have.
Right.
So you are, you work in the engineering field, you work in manufacturing, you're adorable, you're a woman, you're a strong Black woman. So what has that been like? Because I'm imagining that there's not a lot of women or Blacks in that field.
Yeah, so it's interesting, but I would say that I have had to just be myself, number one, but not make that the forefront of my life. So I am who I am, and I'm not going to change. So yes, last week my hair was natural and short, and today it's long and great.
And don't ask no questions.
Right, but they do, right? But I could just decide that I'm going to not do those things so that I don't stand out. But it is what it is, right? This is who I am, and I'm not going to change that. And I feel confident in doing that because I'm good at what I do. And if I don't want to stay here, I'm going to go to another company, or I'm going to start my own company. Like, I'm not going to, and I've grown into this. So I wouldn't say that as a, starting out engineer, I felt that way. I think starting out, it was a little intimidating, but at the same time, I used it to my advantage, right? I am, actually, I don't think there's any other Black female engineer. What's her name? Remember?
Ronke?
Yeah, she was there. But I'm there setting the tone and the expectation for other Black female engineers to come after me. So if I'm the go-to person, the person that people are looking at when there's a new position opening up, they come to me to ask me if I want the position. I don't even have to interview for it. So I feel like I'm allowing the next person, it's maybe not just for me, but the next person that comes in that looks like me, hopefully they will be,
associated with your standard of excellence.
Exactly.
Alexandria, who actually lives in DC, but she's from here, and she says, OMG, this is my little sister's story. And she said Black female engineers on the move. So maybe, Allie, we need to link Kanika and your little sister, because that's, it's all about connections.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about you didn't start off with the confidence to truly be yourself in your career, you're pretty much talking about developing as a woman, right? So when you look at yourself now as a woman versus, let's say, 5 years ago, what would you say has been the major changes?
Excuse me.
And she said her sister is into packaging science.
Oh, okay. So I have industrial engineering, so it's not too far off with packaging. And actually, I know people who have packaging science degrees that we've done similar things.
Okay.
But
I misspoke. She's working. Her little sister is working for Honda in Indianapolis.
Oh, awesome! That's awesome. What'd you ask me?
You as a woman now versus 5 years ago.
Oh, okay. So a couple things, and not superficially, but just even my appearance. So I would say years ago, khaki pants. You remember the khaki pants, the button-up shirt, tucked in with my little shoes on. Just because that was kind of like the uniform. I didn't go as far as the pocket protector. I wasn't that bad. But that was kind of the uniform, because you didn't look too girly. Because then people just I didn't think people would take you seriously. But now, I wear what I'm comfortable in, and because fashion is my passion,
right?
I express myself more in terms of that because that is where I'm more comfortable. So I would say that would be one, and then also just not being afraid to stand up and speak up when something's not right, or I have an idea or something I want to share. So I think earlier on, but I've always been the type of person that if I'm going to say something, it's going to be good because I've thought about it and I'm kind of scoping out the
calculated.
Exactly. Although sometimes it's not so good, but in engineering it is because, a lot of stuff has to be fact and data based. And so, the fact that when I do say something, somebody told me at work, she was like, well, when you speak, people listen. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, you don't notice it? I'm like, no, because I rarely say anything. She was like, but that's part of it. You're not just rambling and talking about stuff. And so people know when you're going to say something, it's likely going to be, powerful or good or whatever. So earlier on, I would say very little. Now, I'll be the first to be like,
put the church finger up. Excuse me.
Right. Right. But, and that came over time with just being confident. Like I said,
she said profound.
Confident in my field of work. I know what I'm good at, and it's not about being cocky or anything. It's just knowing your lane and knowing what I'm good at. And then the things that I'm not so good at, accepting that and being open and honest. Like, I'll be the first. I'll walk into a room, and because I'm the continuous improvement manager, everybody's like, oh, here comes the expert. No, not the expert. I've actually done this one other time, but I'm going to give it my all. We're going to, as a team, work on this, and we're going to figure it out, and we're going to do a great job, right? So that has always been my approach, and getting feedback from other people. So not, necessarily being cocky about it.
And that's that strategic leadership.
Right. And being collaborative, right? So, one of the things I used to fear when I graduated from engineering school was having all the answers, because when you're in school, your test is by yourself, and I'm not a good test taker. But give me a problem to solve, a group of people to, collaborate with. Oh, you're good at this, you're good at this. I can bring that team together, and we're going to solve that problem, and the solution is going to be
I got some marketing problems.
and I don't necessarily have to be the expert,
right.
And I don't necessarily claim to be that, because I think you're always learning something. So, I don't know. I just caution when someone's like, yeah, you're the expert. And I'm like, yep, that's me. I, know it all. Not quite.
Yeah, that's a setup. So you mentioned that your passion is fashion. So, all right, shimmy shake. What are your thoughts on fashion?
So my thoughts on fashion. I do have a sewing machine, but I'm not that great at sewing. So I wish I could make my own clothes, because I have these thoughts of what I want my outfit to look like, and then I end up having to go either to the store or my closet and piecing it together. So, but if I could sew, then my ideal state would be,
hey Kendra,
idea, and then putting it all together. But what I like to do, and what I wake up thinking about, is just things coming together. Maybe that's part of the engineering, solutions, but my solutions end up being fashion, what things go together. You want to laugh. What things go together. And so I like to style different people, because I think that, again, not in a materialistic way, but you're what you wear.